Hi, Danielle with Rallybound, and this tutorial is going to focus on the campaign settings within your campaign admin, which is the screen that I'm on now. Please keep in mind that the campaign settings are specific to a campaign, so they can be very granular. If you replicate a campaign or if you relaunch, you're going to want to come and update these settings each time, which frequently these are left alone, and one of the large reasons why we wanted to do this tutorial. You can access these settings by going into Settings and Campaign Settings. Now, this first piece, General Campaign Info, is going to contain the campaign name, the alternate name, which is how you'd want the name to display, the campaign goal, the campaign year, which is very important because this is the year that is going to pull in reporting for year-over-year events, the RSVP registration fee, which is the cost of registration for somebody to physically attend an event, and that's if you have a blanket cost saying you're physically attending, this is how much you're going to charge, this is where you're going to want to put in that fee. If you have variations, we have another tutorial that covers the registration field that you'll want to reference. There's also the date and time of your event, and then the campaign name, URL, and location. Now, this screen might look familiar because when you are in your platform admin and you double click on the campaign row that reflects the specific campaign, you are going to see similar fields that you'd be able to update here. Doesn't matter which area you update them in, if it's that same field, the settings are going to apply for this specific campaign. Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that piece, and so now I will go back to the campaign settings. The next area is going to be registration, which is important because you may want to turn registration on or off at a specific time. You can do that here by putting in a registration close date. You can manually disable or enable registration. So if you're relaunching an event and you don't want registration to be open while you're refactoring or retooling, you can disable registration. When somebody goes to actually register, they're going to be taken to a screen that says registration is closed, an editable area that you can update to tell them when registration will be opened. You can also put the maximum number of registrants. If there's a cap on the registrants, you'll want to leave it blank for infinite registrations. And then this piece is also very important. It's an RSVP waiver. So RSVP again means somebody's physically attending. You're saying if somebody registers and they're physically attending an event, you're going to want them to sign a waiver. If this is true, check this box. It will show up on the registration form. We also have a tutorial video that covers that, or an article if you have other questions. Down below you have your defaults, so default fundraiser goal, minimum fundraiser goal, default team goal, minimum team goal, if there's a default state that you want everybody associated with, and whether there's a maximum attendees per team. The next area is organization information. This is very important to keep the same if you are running multiple campaigns within Rallybound, because these settings are going to be applied across all of your campaigns. For example, if you have 5 different run-walk series located across the United States and you change the information to have a local address, those settings are going to be made for all of the 5K races anywhere where the organization placeholder appears. And an example of where the organization placeholder would appear is in the FAQs, where you're asking somebody where it is that they're going to mail their check. You can see here it has organization name, organization address, and so if you update that, it's going to change it universally across the board, so be very careful of doing that. If you do need unique addresses entered, remove the placeholder altogether and just enter the text. Finally, we have some donation options. So these are options you can configure for the donor as they're making donations. You're going to want to go through and read these, make sure that the settings align with your organization goals. If you want to include processing fees when a donor is making a donation, this is where you'd enable the feature. You can check this box and it's going to include the Rallybound processing fee only. And then if you want to put in the credit card processing percentage, you'd put that in based off of the arrangement that you have with your credit card processor. Finally, we have email options, which is where the emails come from. And so this is a discussion in and by itself. We'll create a tutorial series that covers emails, but essentially when an email goes out for any of those autoresponders, say I register, this is where you're going to want the individual to see the email coming from. You can look at advanced email options also if you want to put a name, a reply to email address, and a reply to name. And then you can also put a default email address to be notified. If you had info@pacificocean.org, I could put that there, and then that email address will receive all notifications for the campaign, registrations, donations, etc. You can also choose to be notified for goal updates for an individual or a team. And this last piece is the most complicated, or I guess it can be fit into a specific box because there are various tasks. Some of these are related to registration types, whether you have detailed or whether you have quick registration, and some of them are whether or not you want an administrator to activate pages before they're actually public. What I would recommend you do is to reference our article for various campaign settings tasks, which we're going to have in our knowledge base, and go through this and make sure that these settings are in line with how you want your campaigns and your organization to be perceived. And again, when you relaunch or you replicate your campaign, make sure that it's not cookie cutter. Things might change over time. All too often, things remain the same for way too long because nobody actually looks at them. So make a concerted effort to go through and look at these every once in a while and ensure that nothing needs to change. I hope that this was helpful. If you have questions, please let us know. Best of luck. Bye-bye.